again with the United Enigma. This time we're going to go over a little match preview for the game on the weekend. Man United versus Brentford at home. I labelled it for my watch along. It is a must win game, and it is the very definition of no excuses. This is a team that is genuinely horrendous this year. If we just have a look to put this into perspective for you guys. Played 5 Premier League fixtures so far, 6 Premier League fixtures so far, lost half their games, drawn twice, won 1 game. In the 6 games they've played, how many goals have they managed to score? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've scored 6 goals all season, so they're averaging 1 goal a game for their 6 games this season. That puts into perspective how bad Brentford currently are. This is a team that looks devoid of ideas. They look like they've got inabilities to score without the likes of Ivan Toney. We all know he's a fantastic striker, so I couldn't even put it on them, to be honest. He's the talisman. He's their best player. One of the best players at strikers in the Premier League. And he's not around. So, of course, they look toothless going forward. There is absolutely no excuses to not beat this team when the only key players you can look at in their lineup is the likes of a Norgard and an Mbuemo. Now, before we get into the strengths of Brentford and what I believe we need to look at and what we need to be aware of for the weekend, we're just going to look at the Man United lineup. There will be some contentious decisions in there. For starters, if you just take a look at that midfield, you can see the number 7, Mason Mount, is in the position where you would typically have Bruno Fernandes. I personally have decided to take it upon myself to take him out of the squad. Couple of games prior, there was talk about Bruno being dropped alongside Rashford. At the time, I very much was of the opinion that Rashford was more of the priority to be benched as opposed to Bruno. However, after this game that was just played versus Galatasaray, Bruno truly had a stink fest. Palace, when we won 3-0, the rhetoric was, yeah, but Hannibal, that midfield, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we won 3-0, but Palace weren't really at the races because they were thinking about the Premier League fixture. Cool. We had the Premier League fixture. Again, Bruno wasn't amazing, but I didn't think Bruno was too poor in that game. I felt like there were other players that could have done more. Yes, Bruno could have done more, but I don't think it was a particular horrendous game last weekend. But that Galatasaray game, as captain, for you not to be able to have your players switched on mentally, be able to tell them, bro, calm down. You've scored a goal. Calm down now. Let's ride this wave. The most dangerous and vulnerable time in football is after your team scores. Why? Because complacency sets in. Because your teammates may start believing that you're already 1 step closer to the finish line. But bro, after we scored a goal, there was 60, 65, 70 minutes left. Where is the captain telling everyone to relax, get into shape? Let's, even if it means going a bit more compact for a little while, ride the wave. Then when we get into some settled possession now, we can continue playing our game. But instead, there was no transfer of confidence from the captain. And even away from his captain duties, he was poor in general. He was absolutely poor. The amount of long balls that were overhit, the amount of poor passes, taking a shot on his left foot from the edge of the box for no reason when there was options in space. It was horrendous. I remember him playing 1 great ball the entire game, which was the ball that he played in the final stages of the game to Dalot, but he eventually got the handball, and that was it. The game fizzled out. 1 great ball I remember from Bruno. It was horrendous. So, genuinely speaking, I would genuinely bench Bruno for this game in place of Mason Mount. So, if you look at the defense, there has been talk that Reguilon is going to have his injury assessed by the medical staff, and they will be able to look at it again and deem him either fit or not fit for the weekend game. This is essential. Big up Mizzo in the chat. Lovely to see you again. Amrabat must shine given how let me just pin this message. Given now his late opportunity. Yeah, so he has been, because of his injury, introduced into this team later than most would have hoped. So now that he's been introduced into the team late, it's a new team, a new style of football, he obviously needs to be incorporated into the team style of play far quicker, which means Ten Hag should try to be finding a way for him to play in that number 6 position from entry into the team. Yes, I understand there's been injuries, but we do have some versatile players. As much as I believe Lindelof isn't someone that has been warranting his place in the squad at the moment, I think Lindelof has been poor. Tell me if you guys agree personally. Lindelof can play right back. You move Lindelof right back. Dallow's played left back at a high level in the Premier League and also for Portugal. Play Dallow left back. Varane's the other centre back. Could have had Amrabat in midfield from day one. Maybe the goals that we conceded versus Galatasaray don't happen because he's not being caught offside. He's not being caught not stepping up to play the offside trap because he's not a left back. So hopefully Reguilon can come back into this team, and after the international break, Malacia will be back, so at least we'll have 2 fit fullbacks ready and raring to go after the international break, and that's only a positive. Lindelof, I believe Ten Hag will keep him in this team. Do I think Lindelof should be starting? Honestly, I would actually give Evans or Maguire a go, but I think he very much sees Lindelof as more of his long-term third choice centre-back, so I believe he's just going to play him anyway, irrespective of his poor form, irrespective of his overhyped on the ball. Guy doesn't pass the ball enough, getting muscled off the ball. The Lindelof we saw last year has definitely disappeared again, and I believe it's very much down to the fact that we're playing a more expansive, more aggressive form of football where he's under more pressure, and his lack of overall defensive ability has been shown out. And also now that we have more onus on the players at the back to play forward, his passive ball playing is being shown up as well. Yes, he looks pretty on the ball, but he doesn't do much with it. Varane and Dalot explain for themselves. Dalot had a poor game versus Galatasaray, but overall he's had a pretty decent season so far. Again, irrespective of form, it's not like he wasn't going to start the game. Dalot's obviously going to start. Amrabat, in that number 6 position, has to go. Amrabat, I do not want to see this guy being shipped off at the left back position, getting cooked all game, or not defending properly on that side, trying to handball. This guy, remember when he made those comments about being more than happy to play goalkeeper? The amount of time this guy goes down and tries to handball. Yo, he weren't joking about potentially playing a goal. Who knows? Anyone tell me in the chat, did this guy start his career off as a goalkeeper? Some would say maybe give Amrabat a go in goal. I'm going to say that though. Onana is another one. Would Bayindir be starting this game? Should he start? In the chat again, tell me, would you start Bayindir in place of Onana? Personally speaking, that one there is potentially up for debate, but in terms of what I believe Ten Hag will do, I believe Ten Hag is going to start Onana. He's going to back his guy from Ajax. It's his main signing, is the person that he has lauded, of course, as being the replacement for De Gea. The reason why he was more than happy and more than willing to get rid of a mainstay in the team such as De Gea, it was for Andre Onana. So he's going to go with this guy, going to try to play him through this bad patch. You even saw the comments Onana made saying that he's reluctant to go on international break with Cameroon because he very much wants to focus on his Man United career, get it back on track. Already talked about Amrabat. Casemiro, push him higher up. Let's see more of the box-to-box Miro. He does not have the legs to constantly cover as much ground as he used to when he was younger. Last season we played a deeper line. He was just being tasked to sort of shuttle between the lines and cut passing lanes, defend the box, that sort of things. Sometimes help going forward, but his main job was very much to defend in a certain area, and he didn't have to cover as much ground as this season. Let's give him the box-to-box role. He'll come back when he can, but allow him freedom to press from the front and allow him freedom to get into the opportunity to get in the box and also create. He's shown more than capable of playing good passes, crossing the ball even, and also getting on the end of headers. So let him play that role, knowing that the security of Amrabat, who does have the legs to cover, right behind him. And Amrabat, if you know him from his Fiorentina days, he is actually not a goal threat. He's very much a number 6 in the mode of a controller, a dictator of play, someone who will help with the tempo of the game. So let's play him there and allow Casemiro, who does actually have goal output, to be the person pushing forward. Mason Mount has been decent over the last couple of games. I do think some people are slightly overrating his performance, but Mason Mount has been decent. He deserves his little time to shine. Number 7 tax. The Beckham interview's coming out. I bet he'll be watching it since he's the new number 7. It is what it is. He's number 7. that's Ten Hag's guy. Because Bruno's been so poor, especially the last game, Mount was definitely better than him. It's not like he was world class or anything, but he definitely performed better, and it was a decent enough performance compared to Bruno, who was very poor. So if anyone's going to start between the two of them, it'd be Mount over Bruno for me. Antony has to retain that right wing position. I'm just putting whatever's been any of the narratives to one side. Antony has to start on the right wing. Pelestri, not good enough. Bruno, I do not want to see Bruno there again. No. Let's start getting players in the correct positions. You either put Bruno on the bench for his bad performance at Galatasaray, or you start Bruno in place of Mount or Casemiro. It has to be one of those things. You do not play Bruno at the right wing. When will Ten Hag learn? The guy is completely and utterly ineffective when he plays there, and he just needs to stop. Antony, back at the right wing, he'll hold the width. He'll try to bring other people into play. He had a great connection with the likes of Sebastian Haller back at Ajax. Højlund is the closest thing in the squad to Haller. Maybe we'll start to see finally if Antony can cut in and put in a great ball. Cut in and put a whipped cross to the back post or something to Højlund. We'll see. He was doing that for Sebastian Haller even in the Champions League. Maybe he can do the same thing for Højlund. Maybe that's what Antony was lacking. That missing link. Someone that he can actually play off. Good hold-up play. Make the runs in the box. Help him vary up his play. Maybe instead of it just being Højlund having to go on the outside, maybe having a proper striker in there. Sorry, Antony having to go on the outside was his main fault. Maybe having a proper striker like Højlund in there will allow Antony to be able to vary up his play in the sense that he doesn't just have to cut in and shoot. He can also cut in and put a ball into the box, knowing that there's a striker more than capable of hitting the front post or the back post with his runs. That's left to be seen. Højlund, don't even need to talk about it. It was absolutely amazing. Man of the match performance. He's actually up for being Champions League Player of the Week. Hopefully he gets it. Probably won't because people are absolutely glazing Jude Bellingham nowadays, but that's another story for another day. Deserves that position. Gave him an 8 out of 10. Was absolutely fantastic. Unlucky to only score 2 goals as opposed to 3. He's starting and I'm very happy. I just hope and pray we don't drag him down with the rest of our crap. The last one there. That's going to be a main talking point for a lot of people. Why have I put Rashford in the starting lineup? The reason why I put Rashford in the lineup is actually a strange one. The reason why he's there is because, as I'm sure a lot of United fans would know, Garnacho's girlfriend just gave birth. Now, not every football player takes time off when their spouse gives birth, but he may do so. He may take the time off, and if Garnacho chooses to take that time off, which is obviously entitled to, I don't blame him if he does it. In fact, he probably should take the time off to be with his child. Then, of course, it's either going to be a choice of Bruno being shifted out there, which, Lord help me, he gets put on the left instead of the right, even worse, or Pelestri playing on the left-hand side, since Sancho is on hiatus and Antony doesn't play on the left. So it's either Rashford or Garnacho is going to be playing there 9 times out of 10. Garnacho, if he's not around, probably won't be there. So chances are our only real left winger in the squad who may be available on the weekend could be Rashford, which is the only reason I've got him starting in that position, because really and truly, he does not deserve to be starting. And that's the simple and long and short of that scenario. So before people start getting the knives out, the pitchforks out, asking me why the hell have I got Rashford in the starting lineup? Am I a Rashford simp? Am I a Rashford FC? No way, Jose. And he's only playing because needs must. Simple. Now, if we move on to the lineup for Brentford. So this is Brentford's lineup. So obviously, in tandem with the lineup, I'm going to just briefly give you a little look at the strengths and weaknesses of this Burnley team. Sorry, Brentford. Of course, the main threat is going to be Mbeumo, and another decent player to have is Norgard, who plays in their midfield. Danish compatriot with, or is it Norwegian? I believe he's either Danish or Norwegian, Norgard. But of course, he's actually a pretty decent midfielder. There were times where I believe under Ollie, we actually got dominated by Brentford, and he was part of it. In fact, when we got smoked by Brentford last year at the start of the season, 4-0, Norgard and Buemo were very much instrumental in packing us that day. So I need my get back. I need my get back. We're playing them early on in the season, similar to last season, very early in the season. I want us to pummel them. They're in a bad way. Only scored 6 goals, conceded a bunch of goals at the bottom of the table right now, right down the bottom. We need to pack these guys up. They actually played against Arsenal. They went for a 5-3-2 in that game. I am predicting them to go for 4-3-3. However, in the EFL Cup versus Arsenal, they were actually home to Arsenal. They played a 5 at the back formation, so obviously they went more defensive against them. Now, some people may think that, well, in a big game like Arsenal, they played a strong 11 and they went for a 5 back. Will they do the same versus Man United? And this is where I say to people, hold your horses. Hold your horses. No way, Jose. Man United aren't anywhere near the caliber of Arsenal. I hate to say it. We are crap right now. So if anything, the way you get change out of Man United is one of two things. You play a defensive line, you play defensive, and then you stifle us. Then you look to create chances either from set pieces or counterattacks and nick a goal. And because we can't create high quality chances, we are toothless. You can get the win. You can nick the win like Palace did to us. Or you just dominate us and be clinical. Like Burnley, what they did. However, Burnley weren't able to put on the finishing touches. Because of our lack of quality, there's no need to play an additional centre-back in my opinion. I don't think they'll go for a 5-back with 3 centre-backs. They don't need to. We're not that good. Why do that? If I was Thomas Frank, why do that? You play the 4-3-3. When we've got the ball, maybe drop it into a 4-2-3-1, get the 2 CDMs in front of you, maybe make it a 4-4-2 flat, defend, hit us on the counter. Light work, get the cutbacks flowing. We all know how to beat Man United. We're not that hard. So that's why I'm predicting them to go with a 4-back, 4-3-3, which is what they normally play, as opposed to shifting to the 5-back, which is what they did versus Arsenal, because we're not a good team. In terms of their strengths, attacking set pieces, this was especially prevalent when they had Ivan Toney. Luckily, because of the lack of Ivan Toney, they're not as dangerous from set pieces. They still are, but without him, he was very much a goal threat. Creating scoring chances, shooting from direct free kicks, attacking down the wings, creating chances using through balls, aerial duels, again, a specialty of the likes of an Ivan Toney. However, their weaknesses are protecting the lead and avoiding individual errors. They sound a lot like Man United. Sound a lot like Manchester United in terms of their inabilities and their weaknesses. Their style of play is playing with the width, consistent first 11. They're not very aggressive, playing in their own half. So they're very much a team that is quite passive. Very passive on the ball, not aggressive. So it's going to be a match where, especially with the fact that we're at home, we're going to hold a lot of the ball. I believe the match will play out very similarly to the Crystal Palace game. However, they do have a little bit more going forward. I mentioned already Mbuemo. We're very, very lucky Ivan Toney isn't playing today, or else I believe this is a match that we genuinely could lose. Because they aren't scoring a lot of goals, they're not very good going forward. That's why I will predict the win for Manchester United. I will go for a 2-0 win for Manchester United, but that's because of their lack of weapons, not because we're anything special. I already outlined the players like the Norgards, the Mbuemos. They're good at using the width. If we don't nullify them on the width, and we start to allow them easy opportunity to get cutbacks in, if we dominate loads of the ball, dominate, and then we give away sloppy set pieces, we've shown this season how bad we are already, and in previous seasons from defending set pieces. We've shown all these things. So that could rear its ugly head, and again, we could get popped by last-minute corner. Is that not the same way that Crystal Palace scored their goal? It came from a set piece. Same thing could happen here. And then we're there, 70 possession, 75%, 80% possession on the ball. But the best we can muster up is half chances. That could very much be the way the game pans out, which is why I'm hoping and praying for an early goal. We get an early goal. And I think if we do get an early goal, 1-0 up by half time, we finish it 2-0. When they need to push up a little bit more, we can hit them in the spaces they've left open now, because of going for the win, we can pack them. My prediction It's 2-0. Key players to look out for is Mbuemo and Norgard. Already gave you an idea of why I started Marcus Rashford, because I believe Garnacho will be on paternity leave. Mount over Bruno, I will do it. Didn't want to say it before, but now I believe enough is enough. After that performance versus Galatasaray, heads must roll. It's too much now. That level of performance shouldn't be allowed now. At this point that we're starting to get signings in, we've got decent options on the bench. There's no reason, if there's options, to shoehorn and force players into the squad when they're performing badly time and time again. Enough is enough for Bruno. He can hold bench too. We've got players like Casemiro. We've got players like Varane. They can hold the armband. We've got quality players who are respectable enough to have that armband. It's not just Bruno. So he doesn't need to be there. It's an old enough and experienced enough team. So this is what I would go for. Goals from Højlund again. I'd love to see that. And I want to see a goal from Rashford. If Rashford's going to start, I want to see a goal from him. I need his confidence to go up. Right now, the guy is looking even dustier than normal. So I need a goal from Rashford, because if we're going to get anything out of this season, we need more people than just Højlund scoring goals. Long may the goals continue from Højlund, but we need something from other people, man. That's been my preview for the game. Of course, look out for my watch along on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Gonna do the watch along and the match reaction straight after. Hopefully it's a win for once. Gonna be looking at the interview from Kevin Prince Boateng, who was describing the club and his opinions on the manager, and also I believe the interview from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Gonna have his quotes and some clips. Gonna do some reactions and reviews of the interviews. Love for all the subscribers, and also for reaching 1,000k views on my 1k views on my last match reaction. Love for everything, guys. Try to help me get to 100 subs by the end of this week. By the very least, 80 subs by the end of today. Like, comment, and sub. And let's hope Man United do something and make a good turnaround this weekend, because it's long.